Welcome to Driven, the Unscripted Success Podcast, with your hosts, Mike Mannino and Nariman Hamden, bringing you insights and stories on achieving personal, professional, and financial success.
Hey guys, Michael Mannino with Driven Unscripted Success. And what I'm out looking to do is find the most successful people in their business and have them share their tips and tricks. Today I got Tyler Carney-Debord, one of the most amazing young men I've met in probably 10, 15 years, other than my son, in the last 10 or 15 years. He's a mortgage broker. He's my mortgage broker, actually. And we use him on a few deals, and I think we're going to be using him for the rest of our life. If you could introduce yourself real quick and tell me a little bit about yourself, where you came from, how you got to where you're at now.
Yeah, sure. Thanks for having me, Mike. Tyler Carney-Debord. I always start the reason for the two last names. My mother is Nan Carney-Debord. She's the athletic director at Denison University now and has a pretty successful career. And when she got married, she didn't want to give up her last name, and so that's where the hyphen started in 1980. But yeah, Mike, I've been in commercial real estate. So you say mortgage broker. There's lots of different mortgage brokers in the world, and most of them are residential loans.
Right. Didn't specify that. I apologize.
No, it's just an interesting thing. So the real estate industry as a whole is something like 7 times larger than the stock market in the whole world.
Wait, say that again.
So the real estate industry as a whole is something like 5 or 7 times larger than the stock market.
The real estate market is 5 times greater than the stock market.
Yes.
All stocks, S&P,
Yes.
NASDAQ, all of them.
Right.
Wow, I never heard of that. That's awesome.
Right. So like a lot of people don't know, and I am interested in all sorts of types of real estate now. In different parts of the country, there isn't stock market. You only invest in real estate. So it's including that, the real estate. Anyway, long and short, maybe half or more than half of that market is residential, and I focus on only commercial real estate. That being apartment buildings, self-storage, retail, industrial, mobile home parks. I've been doing it for about 10 years, and I started in the financing space and still am. But then also an investor, both as an active operator and then as a limited partner. So yeah, that's who I am.
Tell me a little bit about, where you're at and how you got there. The one thing we talked about recently was you set goals and you wanted to be a millionaire by the age of 30, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, just a little bit of that. That's pretty impressive, dude. It doesn't come easy.
Well, I'm 31 now. I would say setting goals is great, but a big part of it for me was really having mentors. So I have a couple really influential mentors along the way. I already mentioned my mom. My dad was also an entrepreneur, and I worked in his office. He was a private practice attorney in my small town, Ohio, where I grew up, Delaware, Ohio. Worked in his office, and he was a mentor. I had another college mentor who kind of gave me direction and gave me the direction to at least have direction. And so the millionaire by 30 thing, I think, was from one of those mentors setting like a 10-year goal when I was 20, and I'm 31 now. So that's what I'm always kind of constantly trying to do.
Gotcha. And didn't you work at a major brokerage for a period of time?
Yeah, I was at Marcus & Millichap for 3 years. They're the largest investment sales and financing brokerage in the country.
What is your main takeaways from that?
I had a great experience at Marcus and Millichap. It really, I met a lot of people that worked really, really hard and started at the bottom, and became really successful in an industry they knew nothing about. That was my main takeaway. So Charlie Gagliano, Will Kuntz, Chris Litzler, all are still there and all are successful guys there. My partner, Alec Neesham, and I started on our own. But nonetheless, it was a place that none of us came from a background of commercial real estate. It wasn't like our families were in it,
Right.
or we learned it from our dad or anything. We came from no backgrounds. Some of us a finance background, some of us not. And then just really found our niches and investment, sales, or financing.
Nice. Yours is called Atlas.
Atlas Real Estate Capital. Yes.
Atlas Real Estate Capital.
Yep.
How? Let me put this the right way. How have you become so successful at such a young age? What are you doing better than everybody else? And you are doing great, because there's a lot of people, I'm sure, that's grown up with you that, they're looking at you like, wow.
Well, it's a flattering question. The first thing, there's still a lot of people my age doing much better, and I really surrounded myself with those people.
There you go.
It was a big part of it. And or older mentors as well. But what was the follow-up question to that?
Basically, what's your superpower? What are you good at that sets you apart from everybody else?
Oh, I would say there isn't one.
Okay.
The superpower is that there isn't a superpower. I know having a superpower is something a lot of people talk about, but I don't know that any of these things came natural to me. I don't know that I was naturally a good networker. I actually grew up very shy and just put myself into networking positions over and over and different sales roles. And so now where I think I network very well. Finance, I struggled with in college, did well in as a junior and senior in college, but then learned really on the job from my mentors, Jim Leonard and Brock Walter at Pinnacle.
Okay.
So I think there's no secret sauce that you're born with. You kind of just develop skills along the way.
Okay. All right. That makes perfect sense. I agree with you wholeheartedly. Your marketing skills, from what I've seen, are amazing, absolutely amazing. You're the most personable person I've met in a long time. And we see, how me and Tyler met as a mentor group in multifamily. And I'm telling you, there's a lot of great people in that room. And you set yourself apart by informing them and just helping everybody you possibly can. Every time I see you talking to somebody, you're trying to help them out, and it shows how you do that. It's amazing.
Yeah, thanks, man.
No, it's 100% true. I'm not trying to. I've seen a lot of people in this world, and success has a lot of faces. You are one of the most successful young people I've met. Now, people that are listening to this podcast, they want to know how to get like you, and we're going to get to a part later on I forgot to mention up front, but if people that are listening to this podcast and they want to get better at what you do, what is the secrets to getting good at what you do? How'd you get there?
Is this for people in the commercial real estate space or just in a success mindset, man?
Success, great question. Successful mindsets. I'm interviewing everybody that I know.
Wide spaces, right?
Right. It's a broad stroke. So it doesn't have to be specific to real estate, but what what do you do that you could help other people with? That's really the big question.
One thing I say, this again, can't take credit for this. This was one of my mentors' quotes, and he said that everybody should get a sales job at least once in their life. And then a lot of people develop into something that can be really great for them. It's worked really well for my brother. It worked really well for me. The difference between sales and not sales is one, sales, you get paid based on your efforts and based on how productive you can be. I have a mentor I just had breakfast with on Monday who he owns 2,500 units by himself. He's an LP in 13 deals where he owns 20% of the deal. And he also has time to finance 600 million in debt a year. So there's always enough time in the day to do these things. Your brain can't stretch and be capable of these things. So I think pushing yourself outside of your comfort zone is the thing.
Probably in any industry.
Yeah.
One of our mentors says the one thing about the comfort zone, nothing grows there.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
and so back to the sales point. So that mentor, Andy, he can have all these other businesses, but he still has a sales job because he's so productive that they would never fire him. And it's profitable for him. It's profitable for their company. I've seen salespeople go from from out of college to 3 years later, $1 million in revenue added to a firm. And then the boss is going to pay you a lot of money if you are adding $1 million in revenue. He might pay you 50% of those dollars, 30% of those dollars, or 5% of those dollars. But most importantly, you're getting paid on what you're doing. So I think for a lot of this audience, try a sales career.
Okay. I like that, I have to pick a title. So sales job is the title of this interview. That's the big takeaway I'm getting from this.
Sales job is a big thing that everybody has to cross into.
Yeah, I never did that. I never was in a sales job. My life never depended on, my food never depended on selling something. And I always thought I was a poor salesman, but a lot of people said, you're an amazing salesman. And I finally understand what sales is knowing your product and helping people get what they're looking for. And I've seen a lot of people, the best salesmen in the world, have said, this product isn't for you. You should go to this person, and then give somebody else. And then I've seen a lot of things, reciprocity come back to those people for helping people out with their best solution. Does that make sense? Yep. And that's what you do. You always help out people in every possible way. Everybody I talk to about you, they say the same thing. This guy's amazing. Absolutely amazing. So real quick, another couple of questions. What is the biggest challenge you had to overcome in your career? Those are always big ones.
The biggest? I've had many.
Right. Well, the one that was challenged you the most, you learned enough from it so you can help somebody else out so they don't have to make any mistakes in that field.
I mean, I'm one of the many people. We bought a floating rate debt, 155 unit apartment building in 2022, gotcha. Which is kind of the peak. And we didn't have an interest rate cap on that. So for the audience, that means a lot of people, let's say the debt's 5%, right? And floating means next month that could be 6.5%. Next month that could go down, whatever, right?
Well, what I try and do to help people out relate to that is back in the 80s, they were called ARMs, adjustable mortgage rates. So
that's exactly what it is. Yeah.
Right. And for our space, it's not called ARM. It's called floating debt. And what you were talking about points, you can buy points and you can rate lock it to a certain point by buying the points, correct?
A rate cap means you, not quite. It means you buy a financial product that
Right.
acts as insurance in case the floater goes too high.
Right. And the floater being,
The adjustable rate mortgage.
right. So whatever prime is plus, so
Or for us, it was SOFR, 30-day price to 30-day money.
okay.
So we didn't buy one of those caps because the price of one at the time was insane. And it's hard to say, hindsight's 2020, but there's been some months where we've had to feed that deal.
Yeah.
Now I think we're going to have a very successful refi, but I've had a challenge. Syndication is a huge challenge.
So what, yeah, I want to respect your time. I could talk to you for hours. We have talked for hours. Love you, your wife and your kids, but let's try and keep this, we're gonna try to keep this at 20 minutes so that people can digest it as quick as possible. Maybe
Right.
next week put you on another one. It sounds like things are going really well for you. Obviously, your new house, new baby, your wife, new wife too. You got married, what? How many years ago? A couple?
Not that new though. We've been together for 10 years.
Oh, good. How long you been married?
3.
Yeah. So new wife, new house, new baby in 3 years.
Yeah.
So real quick for everybody, what do you think about having kids? How is it?
Oh, it's the best part of the whole thing.
Yeah. I tell everybody this and I go, I can't talk to you about the joy of having kids until you have kids. And I knew you before and then I knew you after. And can you agree you can't express, when your daughter stares at you, wait until she says dad. Oh wow.
Well, right now, she smiles, and
She stands. She
and
stands. She was in my lap standing at like 3 months. Remember at the event, she's standing. And she's, "Grr." I'm like, what? You're not supposed to be doing this.
she's great. It's been an experience of a lifetime.
Cool. It really is. I agree with you wholeheartedly. Well, it sounds like things are going really well for you in a lot of areas. I'm looking forward to the future. You're really good at creating passive income. How do you do that? And I guess what we're trying to do is show people how to get from active income to passive income where you're not paying taxes. How do you do that? How do you, you're not going to transition, you're too young. I'm looking to the transition to turn from passive to active to passive. How do you do that? What would you recommend people to get there?
Well, the first thing you have to do is get active, I think.
Yeah.
I really believe that. Is there ways to buy buildings with no money down? The answer is yes. I see it all the time. But doing that for your first ever building, I don't know if that's really that wise. Because also, I think you get some skills when you're active. You can be a successful, active business person. I think that helps with your investing.
Right.
So I don't necessarily believe in only focusing on one or the other. And I've learned that the hard way. Then to follow up how to get passive, I'd say you have to buy real estate deals that actually cash flow. That's been a huge challenge for us really since I've known you, Mike. Like to buy one that cash flows on the first day. So what you've been doing, you've been buying things that needed to be repositioned. And now, do they cash flow now, Mike?
I'm in a definitely different situation than you because I am a builder, so I like fixing stuff up, and I'm built that way. I started this way, so but I'm trying to transition into what we call in our industry a turnkey. If we have something that actually, like you said, cash flows day one, it's going to cash flow better 5-10 years from now. And if it doesn't need anything like new roofs in it, but if it does need that stuff, I don't mind doing it. You know what I'm trying to illustrate? So passive income is truly something you buy and you just sit on and make money for years.
Well, I mean, but like, let's take my building for example in Indianapolis. When I did our site inspection there, we were probably 80% occupied, and anybody who understands apartments knows that at 80% occupied, you really aren't. You might be breaking even, but you aren't making any money. At 90%, you're in business. 100%, you're really killing it.
Right.
Um,
And
but
100%
when
is
we took
basically
over this building, it was 80% occupied. The parking lot was like a war zone. You know, you just know that parking lot that in an old shopping center that has the potholes. So we spent, I think, 300 grand on the parking lot day one, and but my point of the story is like that is no way passive income. It is going to develop into that now, but for the last few years, we've really had to buy deals that we reposition and improve in order to get to a place of passive income.
right. And those are called
And that's
value.
been on the storage side too.
Really? I mean, there's what do you do in a storage facility to upgrade the rents?
Good question. You buy
Yeah,
30,000 square feet and you add 20 more thousand and you make it
there you
50.
go. There you go. There's a nice value add. There you go. We call it value add in our industry. So anybody that's watching this in apartment terms, in houses, it's called flipping. You know, you buy a property, you fix it up, and you sell it. In multifamily, it's called value add. So what we do is
Right.
buy a property, fix it up. I like to hold them, and a lot of partners that I got always want to sell after 3 to 5 years. I like to buy, hold, and rinse and repeat, and just buy and hold. Real quick, I love talking. I can talk to you for hours, but I want to wrap up the interview. And what I'd like to do is talk to you about what you're doing. What are your plans for the next 6 to 12 months? What's your next thing?
That's a good question. I would say we're still ever expanding the mortgage banking business and trying to get uh, really focused on our existing clients, which are growing,
Uh-huh.
and adding more lenders and resources of capital, right? So that's always an ongoing project. On the investment side, I've really let my clients and people in the marketplace look for deals, and I probably am going to be a limited partner again, but I'll be really selective.
Yeah.
And that's for no other reason than that's just where I'm at now. Um, I have a lot of guys starting up funds or rescue capital or really starting in the syndication business right now. I think that's actually wise. It's a great time to start.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Yes.
Um,
Yeah.
but you know, everybody has their own bandwidth, and I've learned that too. Like, so you can only do so much, and that's what I'm focused on.
Yeah. I agree with you. This is, we're in October 2024, and I went through 08, and the one thing I learned in 08, that's where I made money. I accidentally made money. I had a construction crew, and there was no work, absolutely no work, and then the economy just tanked. There's nothing. And so what I did was people were, real estate guys were offering me houses. I 2 houses, one across the street from the other for 14,500 each. Yeah, I bought it just to keep my guys busy.
Right.
Then I fixed them up, and then put people in and rented them for a couple of years, and then I got 3 or 4 or 5, and then I was just like, this is
That's
awesome.
fantastic.
It was an accident. I became a landlord in 08 and 09 accidentally, but what I bought them for, what I put into them, what I sold them for was 3 times in 5 years. 3 times. 2 of them I bought for 14,500. One I sold for 90. One I sold for
So
100.
you really didn't hold on to them long term, though.
My biggest mistake. Could you imagine if I had one was 15 and 15, it was 30,000 in it, one was 15 and 60, so it was 75,000 into it. Right now they're worth 2 something. Oh God, it was, I made a mistake. I didn't understand refinancing back then.
So again, back to the mentors thing. So and then we'll cut it off at this, but I had an older guy really pencil out the concept of never selling. And he just like drew out how much it cost him to build a simple deal, how much he expects to sell it for, but then how much these things have been worth over history.
I bet you that was an amazing number.
Yeah, exactly. And we can do that on a separate podcast. But people who own real estate over the long period ends up being a really, really great play. You just have to be able to do it. You have to be able to operate it. You have to have a business.
Business process helps that out.
Yeah.
Business process, good. And I think our secret is finding great property managers. They're going to take 90% of the bun, and all you're going to have to give them is direction.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, listen, I want to thank you very much. Love talking to you, and I really.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you very much. If you could tell me a little bit, tell me about yourself. Anybody wants to get in touch with you, how would they do that?
Yep. Mike will share my email. That's best. But we're Atlas Real Estate Capital. We have a website or email.
Okay, cool. You want to give out your email address? Because
I can say it, or you can just write it out. It's Tyler at atlasrecap.com.
Perfect. We'll type it out for you. Well, Tyler, I can't thank you enough. You're an amazing individual, and I'm just blessed to have you on the show. Thank you very much, and I appreciate you. And
thanks, brother.
And thank you. We'll talk to y'all later. Ciao.
All right.
Thanks for listening to Driven, the Unscripted Success Podcast. Want to share your story? Apply to be a guest at drivensuccesspodcast.com/guest.